You know that phrase, a gut feeling? Or how about when you've had a rough day and all you want is some classic comfort food? Well, it turns out that's not just a saying, and it's definitely not all in your head. The link between your gut and your mood, it's one of the most incredible stories the human body has to tell. Oh yeah, we've all felt that, right? The butterflies, the nervous stomach. It's a super clear sign that your brain is talking to your gut. But what if I told you that conversation is actually way, way louder going in the other direction? That your gut is constantly sending signals up to your brain that literally shape how you feel every single day. Okay, get ready for this, because it's a real shocker. 90%. That is the amount of your body's serotonin, the happy chemical, that's made in your gut, not your brain. Yeah, just let that sink in for a moment. 90%.
And this chart just drives it home. It's not even close. The overwhelming majority of this super important neurotransmitter comes from your digestive system. Honestly, this one fact changes everything about how we should be thinking about our mood, our digestion, and our mental well-being.
Now, before we go any further, just a quick but really important heads up. Everything we're talking about here is for educational purposes. This is not medical advice. For any health decisions, you should always talk to a qualified healthcare pro. Okay? Great.
So, let's pull back the curtain on this amazing operation. The best way to picture it is to think of your gut as this massive, non-stop pharmaceutical factory. And the workers? Trillions of tiny bacteria, all humming along 24/7. And their main job is making serotonin. Of course, any factory needs raw materials to work with. And for your gut's serotonin factory, the #1 ingredient is something called tryptophan. It's an amino acid you get from foods like turkey, eggs, and cheese. No tryptophan, no serotonin. The assembly line literally can't even start.
And here's pretty much how that assembly line works, broken down. Step 1, you eat something with tryptophan in it. Step 2, your gut bacteria, these little expert workers, get a hold of it and change it into something new. And then, for the final step, special cells in your gut lining take that and do the final conversion into pure serotonin. It's an amazing process.
But wait, here comes the plot twist. All that serotonin that your gut just worked so hard to make, it can't actually get into your brain. There's a security gate called the blood-brain barrier that blocks it. So, if it's trapped in the gut, how in the world does it affect our mood? This is where it gets really cool.
The secret isn't about the serotonin traveling to the brain. It's about the message it sends, and that message travels on a very special, very direct communication network.
Meet the vagus nerve. I want you to think of it like a giant fiber optic cable, a biological superhighway running straight from your gut up to your brain. So the serotonin down in your gut doesn't need to go anywhere. It just needs to activate this nerve, sending a signal straight to your brain that says, hey, all is well down here.
And get this, the traffic on this superhighway, it's mostly one way. A whopping 80% of the nerve fibers are sending signals from the gut up to the brain, not the other way around. That means your gut is doing most of the talking, and your brain is doing a whole lot of listening.
And if you want to see what happens when this system gets out of whack, look no further than irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. For folks with IBS, this whole serotonin signaling thing is often haywire. If there's too much serotonin, things in the gut speed up way too much. Too little, and everything just grinds to a halt. It's such a clear, real-world example of how powerful this gut serotonin really is.
Okay, so that's the science, which is incredible. But now let's talk about the practical side. How can you actually support this amazing serotonin factory inside you? Well, the great news is you have a ton of control, and it starts with your diet. It really boils down to managing your little microbial workforce. First thing you can do? Hire more workers. Eating foods packed with probiotics, things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, is like bringing in a fresh new crew of beneficial bacteria to join your team. You're literally beefing up your serotonin-producing workforce.
All right, so you've hired your crew. Next, you gotta feed them. That's where prebiotics come in. Prebiotic foods are basically the favorite food of your good gut bacteria. So think bananas, oats, garlic, onions. This is like laying out a 5-star buffet for your microbial employees. And a happy, well-fed workforce is a productive one.
And of course, you have to supply the actual building blocks. You can't make serotonin from thin air, you need that tryptophan. And as you can see here, foods like Parmesan cheese, turkey, and eggs are just loaded with it, giving your factory everything it needs to get the job done right.
Now, I know this stuff sparks a lot of really good questions. So for this last part, let's just rapid fire through some of the most common ones to make sure everything's crystal clear.
This one comes up all the time. It makes sense, right? If you want more serotonin, why not just pop a pill? Seems simple, but there's that biological roadblock we talked about.
And the answer is a hard no. Remember, serotonin itself can't cross that blood-brain barrier to actually get to your brain and affect your mood. That's precisely why antidepressants, like SSRIs, work the way they do. They don't add new serotonin. They just help the 10% that's already in your brain to stick around longer and work more efficiently.
Okay, here's another really smart question. If these medications are designed for the brain, why on earth do so many people get side effects like nausea or an upset stomach when they first start taking them?
And the answer takes us right back to the main point of this whole explainer. It's because those drugs don't just work in the brain. They have a huge effect on that massive 90% of serotonin that's down in your gut. And that sudden change in how your gut's serotonin is working, that's what can cause those temporary stomach issues. It's your gut reacting to the sudden shift.
So, after hearing all this, the natural next question is, can we use these good bacteria, these probiotics, as a direct treatment for things like depression?
You know, the research here is so exciting, but the honest answer is we're not quite there yet. There's this whole emerging field called psychobiotics, which is all about this. But the science is still young. We can't say, take this specific probiotic for your mood, at least not yet.
And that brings everything full circle. The next time you get a gut feeling, just take a second and remember what's really going on. It's not just some random feeling. It's a complex, high-speed conversation between your two brains. So remember to take care of your gut. It's a whole lot smarter than you think.